Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. 2 North Carolina state troopers will not be charged for their handling of a fatal Raleigh crash. WRAL Investigates Sarah Krueger has been following this investigation for months and joins us to break down the decision that came out on Wednesday. Sarah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. A lot happening.
For sure. So let's start with the crash that's at the center of all of this. When did it happen, and what did we know about what played out that night before all of this came out on Wednesday?
Yeah, so this was October 2024 that this crash happened, and it was a deadly crash, single car crash. The person who died named Tyrone Mason. And then it came out that there was an SBI investigation into how 2 troopers handled this crash. And we were slowly piecing together over months, more and more information from sources and from search warrants. And basically what we knew is that these 2 troopers were accused of lying, were accused of saying like, oh no, there was no chase, when in fact they had been at some point chasing this individual leading up to the crash, yet they told Raleigh police officers there was no chase. So this has been a very long, months-long investigation by the State Bureau of Investigation. It's been a long fight from us that is still ongoing to get the release of the body and dash camera video from this incident, and we are expecting to get that video really any day now, even potentially any hour now. And what we're told from sources from the search warrant is that really the video will make it all very clear, and it lays it out there very simple, very plain, exactly what happened, and that we will see a trooper lying about what happened, saying there was no chase, and that was at the direction of his supervisor, also within the Highway Patrol.
Right. And, months ago, Wake County District Attorney Lorrin Freeman had said that that's sort of what made her want to look into filing charges here, was that dishonesty element here. What has been the repercussions so far just of that investigation, and how has that affected other cases that these troopers have been involved in?
Yeah, so the credibility issue of these 2 troopers at the center of this is what prompted the district attorney here in Wake County, Lorrin Freeman, to dismiss nearly 200 cases that these 2 troopers are involved with. And those are cases that were still pending. And, basically what she was saying is, since their credibility is in question, they can't really come to court and testify and have that be believed and, really stand up in a court situation. So that's why those charges, many of them DWIs, were dismissed. So that's the repercussion in the court side of things. We also know, in terms of what's been happening with the 2 troopers, they have been on administrative leave within the Highway Patrol, and actually they remain on administrative leave. We just checked in with the Highway Patrol again to see if anything had changed on that, and it has not. They said that their internal investigation is still ongoing, but these troopers, they remain employed, just on desk duty.
Okay. And then with all of that known, that this is impacting other cases here, why then did Freeman decide not to charge these troopers with anything beyond that? Yeah,
so she decided not to pursue criminal charges, and she wanted to be clear that the behavior is absolutely unacceptable, but she does not believe it rises to the level of criminal charges that could hold up in court. And she gave 2 reasons for that. One is, she says that Trooper Macario, although he initially lied to Raleigh police and said, yeah, there was no chase, he pretty quickly changed his tune on the scene, and within minutes he started actually telling the truth to Raleigh officers and saying, yeah, there was a chase. And then the other thing she pointed to is intent. She says she believes the intent of these 2 troopers to lie was, I guess, basically laziness. That's not quite how she put it, but she said that these troopers didn't want to be the ones to have to handle the crash. They wanted it to fall on Raleigh police, so they would have to do all the work. And so that was the reason that she believes that they lied. And so for those 2 reasons, that's why she did not pursue criminal charges. What she did do is she has told Highway Patrol that these 2 troopers, Trooper Macario and Sergeant Morrison, they cannot file charges in Wake County. So what that means is that if they are going to remain troopers or remain law enforcement officers, they would have to go somewhere else.
Okay. Let's take a quick break right there, and we're going to talk about some of the reaction to this when we come back. Sarah, before the break, you were walking us through some of the nuances that there are here, both in terms of what happened that night and also District Attorney Lorrin Freeman's decision in this case. Also important here is Tyrone Mason's family. His mother has been pushing for answers since he died in this crash. How did his family react to the decision not to file charges?
I think how we would expect them to react, very visibly emotional. So they had a meeting with their attorney, Bakari Sellers, at the district attorney's office, and that was a closed-door meeting, but we were outside, and actually a few minutes into the meeting, Tyrone Mason's mom walked out, just really emotional, followed by another son of hers, and she was just telling him, I can't do this, I have to leave, I need you to go in there for me and keep listening, but, I can't do this anymore. So she got in the elevator, went down, and left, and after the meeting, we did speak with the attorney, Bakari Sellers, who expressed the family's and his frustration and disappointment. They just really feel like charges would have been appropriate here for obstruction of justice at the very least.
Okay. And as you said, Highway Patrol is still conducting their own internal investigation. There was, that stipulation that the district attorney here had that these two troopers could not bring cases in Wake County courts from here on out. So obviously, that's a little bit limiting on where they could continue to serve if they're kept in their jobs. What are sort of the things that are still coming in this case? Because it seems like it's not, though this was a big development, this is not the end of this.
Yeah, so I think, the video will be really interesting and really telling and informative for us and for the public to finally be able to see, which hopefully will be very, very soon. One of the things that the district attorney, Lorrin Freeman, in putting out her decision not to charge, she did give somewhat of a narrative of what the video shows. And according to her narrative, it shows, and the SBI investigation shows that while Trooper Macario initially lied and said there was no chase, he later did tell the truth to some Raleigh police officers on scene. So then Raleigh police comes into this and questions of why didn't that information then get out more quickly, because Tyrone Mason's mom, for a very long time knew something was off and was strange, and really wasn't getting answers from Raleigh police. And in Lorrin Freeman's opinion, it's just was basically a miscommunication or a failure of communication and a lack of a thorough investigation from Raleigh police. But definitely some questions that Raleigh police needs to answer to here as well, in terms of, why the right hand wasn't always talking to the left. We have reached out to Raleigh police to get an understanding from them of if any of their officers might be facing some disciplinary action. And at this recording, we have not yet heard back from them. But that's still one open piece. And with the Mason family, I asked Bakari Sellers, the attorney, what's next for you all? And he said something like, you'll see very soon. So, it sounds like their fight is not yet over, and there will be more to come.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. We appreciate you staying on top of this for us. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.